Business now. Ghana is no stranger to corruption, although a much better performer at minimizing graft compared to most African countries. In fact, it was ranked 64th corrupt country in the world in 2012. To help curb the practice, government plans to establish a fiscal council which will adopt and implement rules to anchor fiscal policy implementation. Today, the Institute of Economic Affairs Ghana has been debating ways of making the council work in order to check fiscal slippages. EIB correspondent Lerato Lesoso was there and brings us the story.
Fiscal slippages have been fingered for Ghana's growing budget deficit. This year, the Finance Ministry projected government plans to reduce the deficit to 6.5% from the current 9%. To help check deteriorating deficit, government has promised to set up a fiscal council. The correlation between large fiscal deficit and stifled economic growth cannot be understated. At a workshop organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs Ghana, Chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Dr. Mark Esibe Yeboah, highlighted the economic status of Ghana.
Fiscal policy actually look at how one to ensure macroeconomic stability in a way that will enhance growth and at the same time ensure fiscal sustainability. So there are two main goals of fiscal policy. One, ensuring macroeconomic stability by way of fiscal sustainability, and at the same time, it has to be consistent with economic growth.
He also pointed out to government's failure in overcoming the temptation of splurging funds, especially during election years, in order to please voters, a development he laments throws the country off course in achieving its fiscal goals.
Politicians will often have that tendency to spend more, which is often there. And so the idea is that you can see it, and often when you have very weak macroeconomic fundamentals, you often will see in many cases that you have fiscal deficit. Always more because there's always the tendency to spend because you have accommodative policy, you want to meet your people's desires, you want to spend to expand the economy and all that. And so when you leave politicians, they will spend.
Although the new government is optimistic and eager to cooperate with the idea of a fiscal council in Ghana, not everyone welcomed the presentation in good faith.
It's good to hear the IEA outline their theoretical learnings from all over the world, and it's good to hear their suggestions. We would encourage other civil society groups to share with us their thoughts so that all of it can be factored into the final decisions of government on tightening this fiscal responsibility regime in this country.
The independence is in the papers, the law, the constitution, but government will find a way of reducing the funds that may be available to you, the way they submit the funds, the way they transfer the funds to you through the Controller and Accountant General, which will make sure that you don't get the funds to do the work. And therefore, where is your independence?
Fiscal councils are not very popular in Africa. Only 3 countries in Africa are currently making use of fiscal councils, namely South Africa, Kenya and Uganda. Yet those countries continue to suffer disturbing levels of deficits. According to recent data, Kenya's own deficit hovers around 9.3% in spite of having established a fiscal council. Should Ghana push through with a fiscal council, it will seem much more will have to be done to check its dwindling fiscal space.